What is happening, everybody? It is the Check Engine Podcast, the only podcast produced by three winners of IMSA's Spirit of the Race Award. My name is Nick, and joined, as per usual, by my two good friends, Andrew. Andrew, what is going on?
Oh, I'm tired, man. I'm just super low. No, I'm just kidding. I'm hyped up. I'm ready for this episode. Let's go.
Tristan, can you match his enthusiasm?
No, but maybe I can beat him on intensity.
Pure anger-fueled intensity.
My soul is prepared. How's yours?
Indiana Jones.
Yes, exactly.
They're staring each other down now. It's getting kind of awkward in here. But we are not
I
a
wish he wouldn't look at me during.
I told you.
And we're off the rails already. We are obviously not a professional podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are just three guys who love talking about cars, talking about racing, and we want to have those discussions with you. We've already talked about this kind of stuff with one another in living rooms and garages and car shows and racetracks and bars and all of those things, but we want you to join in on the discussion. So please go find us at checkenginepodcast.com. There you can find links to all of our socials. You can find links to all of the places where we are currently streaming. The home base, if you will, is anchor.fm/checkenginepodcast. Feel free to reach out also by direct email. It's either inbox@checkenginepodcast.com or any of our names, Nick, Tristan, or Andrew at checkenginepodcast.com. Guys, besides my intro, I don't have any notes because, wait for it, I'm going to wing it tonight.
You don't know it yet, but that's a pun.
It's actually a call forward. That's how next level this podcast is.
See that? See how we did that right there?
It's a call forward. Let's see.
Why did I just make that pun?
We'll find out.
Well, see, now we can't talk about it. Now we got to wait.
Okay.
Suspense.
I have one little piece of neat car news that I need to look
Well,
up.
yeah, we were going to go into the pace laps, but we always kind of introduce what we're going to talk about.
But see, now you did the call forward, so now it has to wait. That you made it too good. You made it too deep.
I took it next level.
That's right.
So, we will be certainly talking about something on this episode of the Check Engine Podcast.
You don't even know yet.
Before that, let's start with some pace laps. What do you think, Andrew?
I only have one, and it's because it's a car I had never seen before, or rather a model of a car that I'd never seen before. And it was, weirdly enough, in the Home Depot parking lot. But it was something called an Infiniti Q60 IPL.
Oh, and I thought you were just going
alcohol.
Yes.
That's all
I thought you were just going to
Well,
I thought you were just going to stop at the Q60 part, and I thought, that's pretty common.
That is very common. But the IPL, I'd never even heard of it.
What does the IPL stand for besides India Pale?
Infinity Performance Line.
Did you look this up?
I did. I had to look it up because I saw it and I was like,
conveniently pronounced Ipple.
it could be the Q60 Ipple. But no, it was basically they tried to do like a AMG or M version
F
of
Sport from Lexus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They tried to do that with an Infiniti Q60, but they didn't make it fast enough, so they just stopped doing the shit.
So,
Interesting.
could you say then they're rather rare because they didn't make them for that long?
That's kind of what it seems like, and I had never heard of that badge moniker before, so they must be at least a little bit rare. But yeah, they only gave it like a 20 horsepower boost over the regular Q60, which is at a car that size and weight is barely noticeable.
It's a light remap that no one's going to notice.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they stopped completely or if it transitioned into some. Doesn't Infiniti have like a hot performance car of any kind?
Not one that I can recall.
Not a line. I know there are a couple of the cars that are
Supposedly
designated
faster.
as such, but yeah.
They're all Q something,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Yeah, But anyways, that's
Audis are all A's.
Yeah, but it's A for Audi. Like, Infinity doesn't
That's
start
right.
with a Q.
In English.
Infinity.
Is
There's
the
no
Q
Q in there at all.
is the Q silent?
Yeah, and also invisible. I have car news. I don't know if you call it neat car, but
Okay.
it also is something I've never seen before in my whole life. Leaving work today, I saw an all-electric Toyota RAV4.
All electric?
Electric.
I think I knew that existed, but I don't think I've ever seen one.
And it had, in the most garish manner, EV, electric vehicle, splashed all over it. All the accents were blue.
Wow.
Like, just, they were super excited that they had made an all-electric crossover thing. And it's the only one I've ever seen. It's driven by someone at work.
Who designated the electrical color, quote unquote, as blue?
I
Just
don't know.
BMW does it, Toyota does it. Like anybody who makes an electric car, there's blue accents everywhere. Why not red? Why not yellow? Why, like
So I think
Well, there's also the lime green, but that's electric, right? A lot of people are doing
Hybrid.
that.
that's hybrid. That's hybrid.
Yeah.
Because green with a leaf and a
Sure.
yeah.
I don't know. I know, like, a lot of electric signage is all yellow. I don't know why they wouldn't choose yellow, but maybe, I don't know.
This is a weird conspiracy theory, but could it have been from when the Prius got so popular? Not because wasn't that original logo like blue lettering outlined in silver, and then
Yeah, like a blue and silver battery looking thing. The
Yeah.
hybrid.
Yeah,
Toyota's
yeah.
hybrid drive logo is blue and silver. So
yeah.
maybe they just took the silver out because there's no gas engine blocks. They just made it all blue. I don't know. But yeah,
because
so
Hyundai's is the blue line too, or blue
Yeah,
jack.
exactly.
yep. So it was something I'd never seen before, and I literally came at it from the front, and there's like a weird offset EV badge, and I was like, huh? And then I go around the side, and like along the running boards,
Yes.
there's like splashed along the side the full word electric vehicle.
I was gonna ask if it had that.
and then on the back it had another badge and a couple other things. Like, I'd never seen one before my whole life.
Did it have any sort of rendering of a plug anywhere?
Sadly, no.
Oh.
Here's something you got to ask yourself, though. You have to ask yourself if all of that cosmetic foolery you saw, if they paid for that to be put on their vehicle.
Or if Toyota just soaked up the cost as advertising, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, probably the latter.
I don't know. I honestly think it's the first one, because Toyota makes a lot of fully electric vehicles now, don't they? They have the fully electric Prius. I think several versions of it, even. Like
I
the
don't know.
wagon and the little one and the regular one. And then
The Prius V, which I can only assume means for volume.
Yeah,
It's
right.
the large one.
It was actually 5, but
Oh, okay.
no, I have no idea. But I think they make at least 4 now. And so I would assume it would be like a regular thing. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be like, oh, look, we made an electric car. Here's another one.
I feel like this one's older, though. Like,
been.
it feels like it was at least 2 body styles ago.
Ah,
RAV4,
okay.
like, I don't know, it was weird. But it was the first time I'd ever seen one, and I had to actually stopped and, like, walked around it and investigated it, because I was like, what is this?
You did the full walk around.
I did.
What a car show.
What a car show.
I wasn't even at the car show. I was just in the parking lot after work.
Oh, man. Hey, quick update. By the time this airs, it will be about a little over a week since the results actually posted. But thank you everybody who voted on what my next vehicle should be. The results are in, and I think it was a 56%.
Yep.
Was the overall margin there, and I will be pursuing a Chevy Colorado.
Kind of a crushing victory for the Colorado.
Yeah,
really.
both a simple majority and also significantly the largest of any of the individual 3. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
yep.
So I will keep everyone posted on my new vehicle. So thank you for choosing my automotive fate for me. And I'll look forward to reporting back on you. I will be going after a Chevy Colorado.
Awesome. I'm excited.
So it's going to suck losing that T McBee, though. That Trailblazer.
That's true, but obviously with this new car, you're going to have to get the full Check Engine Podcast body wrap. That's cool. You
Write
can
it
be the
off
first
as
one.
advertising.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be the first one of us to have it. It's going to be great. Don't even trip, dog.
Don't even trip.
Just because you said it that way, I'm not going to do it.
Damn you, Andrew.
Whatever. We'll do it while
Damn you, Andrew, and you're hipping and hopping.
Before we come in next time, he won't even know. We'll just do it real quick. A quick wrap.
Just do a wrap quick.
Sure.
Oh, man. So, yeah.
Forget to cut the doors out. Just I'll shrink wrap to the car. Oh, this is going to be awesome.
Forget to cut the windshield out.
It's like saran wrapping your friend's car in high school writ large.
Yeah, exactly.
Please don't do that to my new Colorado. With saran wrap or anything else,
No,
please.
fine. We'll just butter it.
No problems.
I work with assholes. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again just to make sure everybody knows. I work with assholes.
Hot dogs on the antenna.
That's right. Hot dogs on the antenna.
Oh, you guys suck. But you don't, listeners. You did a great job, and we thank you for your response. And Colorado updates coming soon. Okay, can we reveal it now, Andrew?
Fine.
Why did I make the really
it.
shitty pun?
He's dying over here.
Because here's
The
why,
listeners are dying.
Here's why Nick made this. He's so next level. He made the call forward. Today we're going to talk about the popular lie of flying cars. For anyone who's not familiar, flying cars are a meme that's been around since the 1920s, and they're completely fake, and they're not at all a real thing, and they're never going to happen.
Consistently used by charlatans and other evildoers to
Snake oil
raise
salesman.
to raise money for car ventures that have literally never gotten off the ground.
Oh man,
If we do this the whole episode, we're going to have no listeners left.
it's gonna be an episode of bad puns. I have a feeling.
I'm gonna
And that
do
one
my
I didn't
best.
even plan ahead.
That was off the cuff.
Yeah. Yep. That makes it worse.
It does a
It
little bit.
Yeah, a
does.
little
I think
bit.
it's going to happen accidentally.
All right.
But no, there has been a lot of stuff about flying cars in the car news lately. I don't know
Within the
what it
last
is.
couple of weeks,
There's
Yeah.
just
it's been
a
all over the
huge
place.
resurgence of this.
It's in the air.
Are you really? He's
I'm
done.
listening over here. Proceed without me.
This might be
might
Tristan's
have to.
favorite episode.
We might have to. Settle down. All right. But no,
Total dad
there's-
joke, man.
we're having some kind of resurgence of people pretending they're going to bring out a flying car. But I didn't realize this literally has been around as long as the
Actual car.
Yes.
The first recorded theory, or the first recorded
sighting.
experiment, was actually Henry Ford designed one himself. And you guys are not going to believe the name of Henry Ford's prototype. In 1926, the Skyfliver,
Flyver?
Flivver. Fliver?
Flipper. I think it's Flipper.
Fliver?
Double V.
Fliver?
Does it say why he chose the name?
I don't know. Probably because he thought he could make a flying car. He might have been a little stupid.
Are you sure you didn't just not put a W together? It's the fliwer.
Fliver?
Flywer.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But so basically, he made a experimental single seat aeroplane, and killed the pilot. You know, in the first test flight crashed, killed the pilot, whatever. And then he was like, "Oh, actually, this could be. You know, if you ever had a flying car, this is what it would be." And he kept on this. So I mean, maybe Henry Ford was a little obsessed with this idea because in 1940 he predicted, mark my word, a combination airplane and motor car is coming. 1940.
Did he give a
First time
date?
this promise was made. No, he said, you may smile, but it will come.
He's still not wrong.
So this has been promised in America since 1940, which was 1,000 years ago.
Roughly, give or
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
Just about. So, I didn't realize this has been around for that long. So since the car, people have thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if this was a completely different thing?
Yeah. People have been... this conclusion is the only one I can draw. People have never been satisfied with the car.
I guess so.
Yeah.
They've gone immediately from, I own a horse, to, I need to have my personal flying vehicle. What's this thing in the middle? I don't care for it.
Yeah, that's kind of the way. That's
Why
what
are
it
we
seems
doing this
like.
podcast? We should be doing an airplane podcast.
We definitely should.
Well, I mean, when flying cars come,
It'll be one and the same.
we'll have it. We'll have it.
Here's the
We'll be ahead of the market.
here's the thing about this. I really expected, even though all three of us are pretty cynical people, I expected at least one of us to have a small glimmer of hope about flying cars.
A bright view of tomorrow.
Just complete lack of practicality. And here's this is like a third grader's logic right here.
Yeah.
But this is the logic where I'm coming from, right? So I already did the blog on bad drivers.
Right.
So they hit stuff, they don't pay attention to stuff, they don't belong behind the wheel of a car that stays on the ground. Now you put them up in the air, not only are you going to hit stuff and run into stuff and bounce off of stuff and not see stuff, but when all that happens, now there's an extra drop.
Right.
That's going to happen. So it can only be worse.
Yeah, I mean, if you do nothing to a car while it's, as long as it's properly aligned and everything else, the worst thing that happens is it goes straight. If you do nothing to a plane, the worst thing that happens is you go crashing into the ground and die. So,
Well, actually, that's a good point. I suppose in all of this, excitement for us to just get to the player haters ball on flying cars, the three of us, need to more clearly identify what it is that we're talking about, because here's a big thing with flying cars.
They're supposed to do both.
Well, yes, and the other part of it is, well, sort of later. Here's the thing: assholes will say that flying cars are cars that can do things like hover 2 inches above the ground. We all know at this table that's not a flying car.
no, that would be a hovering
hovercraft.
car.
Right.
That's a hovercraft.
So what we're talking about, I think you'll all agree, are cars that do normal road things, perhaps all of the normal road things. So, go 70 miles an hour, can corner, you could put groceries in it, like car shit. And then they also have the ability to fly in some capacity, whether or not that involves a runway or like a vertical takeoff thing.
Yeah, and range and speed are all up for grabs. I didn't say it.
Tristan is going to spend this entire hour just thinking of puns. He's not gonna,
I already am, yeah.
He's-
But I
he's-
didn't say he said it. I didn't say up in the air.
I was going to say up in the
Yeah, they're all up for grabs, and but yes, it has to zoom through the air like an aeroplane. Is how we're defining flying car, maybe at worst a helicopter.
so like you have to be able to jump off the ground and not be able to touch it.
Yeah, basically.
Like,
yeah, you know what? I think
Yes.
that's good.
Yeah.
If
So
LeBron James can swat it out of the air, it's not
Not
a flying car.
so that's the that's the definition we're going for moving forward, or we're going to use moving forward.
Yeah. Man, this is such a broad topic that has literally decades and decades, almost a century of lies behind it.
Well, it's got
Lies and chicanery and
that's the
awfulness.
question that comes to my mind here, because we have a lot of really, really smart people out there. Like, this shouldn't, like, I couldn't design one. I'm not saying I'm one of those people or anybody at this table can do it, but there's a lot of really, really smart people out there, brilliant engineers. To them, this can't be that hard to actually make a functional machine that does this. Not saying it's right, not saying we should adopt it. Why is it taking so long? Is it funding? Is there people just not believing in it? Are they just doing it as a marketing ploy to kind of set the hook and just keep the general public wondering? Like we put people on the moon. Why can't we make a car that flies?
Allegedly.
Well, yeah, okay.
My hypothesis of this is, and I have a metaphor. Are you ready?
Is it an airplane metaphor?
Is it a pun?
No, a metaphor about airplanes in an episode about airplanes would not be a suitable metaphor because you have to explain it with something it isn't.
Fine, birds.
Close. It involves them. So when you think about things in other contexts that fly like birds, very very fast birds, and very very capable land animals. I'm not talking about like even cheetahs or anything else. The hypercars of the animal kingdom. You're talking about two things that are we talk about very fast, very nimble, very light creatures for land predators. Cheetahs are not huge, right?
Right.
They kill with their speed. Compare them to even a very, very large bird. They don't weigh as much as large birds because they have to be hollow and everything else to fly.
Right.
Like the bones and everything, they're entirely different. I think that's my hypothesis between flying cars and birds and land animals is that when you look at a car, it has to have certain characteristics. It has to hold up to the stresses and forces and vibrations. It has to have mounting points to have wheels put on it, and those have to hold up to going 70 miles an hour with physical impact. Like, yes, you have to lift a plane up into the air, but barring all but the most extensive turbulence, you're not functionally impacting a plane thousands of times a minute like you are driving a car down the road. So you've got to
You need to make it more robust,
right.
is what you're
You've
saying.
got to make a car out of sterner stuff than an airplane because it's rolling on a physical surface.
Right.
I think getting those two to play nice together is the biggest obstacle. You've got to provide either a car that has, and that's, yes, we can engineer something that does this, but why can't we produce it? Because you've got to either invest in car materials that are so exotic that it's like, great, I've got a flying car, it manages to go 70 miles per hour, so it's not as good as a regular car, and it's not as good as a regular plane, and it costs as much as both of them combined. Like, what are you looking at there? And I think that's my biggest hypothesis to why it's technically not super feasible is the material science, to be honest.
That's interesting. I don't think about it that way. I think of it as...
That's technically feasible. There's all sorts of other reasons I disagree with it.
Well, no.
But
we'll get to that.
But I think that's a really good... I have never thought of the material science of it. I think of it before it even reaches the application stage, the shockingly unexpected difficulty curve everyone seems to hit when they look at a car and they look at a plane and go, I could make those two things have babies. Because every concept art, every piece of concept art you see about a flying car, every time a company like Aston Martin pretends they're building a flying car, which they are not. Let's get that clear.
They're clearly not.
Aston Martin is not making a flying car.
They paid a guy to draw one.
Right. It looks like a futuristic spacecraft. Ooh, ah. You can't make that. That's the problem. They're usually either A, aerodynamically improbable or even impossible, or B, you would look like such a dick driving it on the road. I mean, none of them are even remotely practical because you have to marry the two universes of infinite practicality. I mean, see the rise of the CUV. Just selling the concept of practicality is what sells cars.
Yes.
Versus airplanes, they have to be functional first and then look good second.
Yes.
I just think that those, not even before you even get to what you're going to make it out of, people trying to do those two things at the same time suffer a bunch of mini strokes and suddenly think they're actually going to make a
It's
flying
actually just
car.
all the dividing by zero black holes in their brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They suddenly think they're going to make a flying car, and they just never are.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, those two things are not mutually exclusive. I think because you have to come up with these just goofy looking things to make a plane car, plane, flying car, and when you don't have the materials to make it look like some kind of space age, Jetsons car. I think that's where the two meet, is that the material science have not gotten to the point where you can reconcile the plane and the car and make them look good and function well and take up a reasonable amount of space. Flying cars are huge because they have to have wings.
Exactly. You got to have
Even
it.
if they fold up, they take up a ton of space. So
That's another thing, is practicality.
Here's the perfect example, and I think we'll transition towards a little touch of reality here. This is a news story that is absolutely fresh. A company called Terrafugia?
Terrafugia?
Fugia.
A company that you're not going to need to remember because it's not actually going to make a flying car, is claiming
That it made a flying car.
that not only that they've made a flying car, not only that, they
But
are
wait,
saying
there's more.
It's going to go on sale in 2019.
Oh my God, that's less than 6 months.
They say it offers an electric hybrid system. They say it will be fully compliant with both the FAA regulations and the NHTSA safety rules. They say all this crap. They do have a working test model. To their credit, they have one that actually works, which is very unlike pretty much anyone who's ever made a flying car.
Yeah, they're one step further than anybody else.
But it is heinously ugly, and it looks hilariously impractical.
Yeah.
It looks like they took... It looks like a die-cast model of a Lightning plane.
Like a P-38?
Yeah, like a P-38 Lightning, with the dorkiest front end ever visited upon an airplane taped to the front of it. Look at this thing.
It almost... What's that three-wheel car that they drove in Top Gear?
Oh,
The Reliant
yeah,
Robin.
the Re-
It looks like
Reliant
it looks like a Reliant Robin with fold-up wings.
it does. And it's got, yeah, that's the other thing. It's got fold-up wings. So when you're driving, you're transporting two enormous doors on the side of your car everywhere.
What happens if you need to get out of that thing in a hurry on the road? And like, how long does it take that wing to fold down, or can it break off? Like,
I actually think the door operates just in front of them.
Okay.
From the looks of this, and there is the guy filling it up at a pump, looking like an absolute Nimrod.
Totally.
Wait, here's a really good question about this. I mean, theoretically, they could produce enough to get it certified as a road-going vehicle, but all of those have to do crash tests. You have to do crash tests in all of those.
I was going to say the exact same thing. Is this going to pass an actual crash test?
I don't know. How they would have to make enough first.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Otherwise, it's not street legal.
Exactly. That's really interesting.
So if they've only made one...
Come on, Terracotta. How are you going to answer that one?
Everybody has to get hobbyist plates.
That could be one workaround. The other thing
hey,
is,
Terrafugia, inbox at checkenginepodcast.com. Explain yourself.
yeah, they do have one picture of it driving and like 6 photos of it flying, and those are blatantly some kind of hobbyist plates on it in this picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some kind of experimental hobbyist plates on it.
Now, does the driver need a pilot's license also?
They absolutely 100% would.
Like, you would have to, right? Mm-hmm. Because like we said, LeBron James can't touch it if he jumps, so it's a real plane. It's not a drone or something like that,
Right, no.
or a hovercraft.
Aside from every other problem that flying cars have, the question of certification, in my mind, is the biggest one.
Yeah, I think that's, to me, I think that's what's going to keep them. I think that's what's going to keep them from being produced. Is that people who care enough about flying to go through the process of getting their pilot's license, which is tremendously expensive in a lot of cases,
Yes.
and staying certified, getting their flight physicals done, like all this stuff that you have to do to be a pilot, are not going to want to fly this because it's probably not going to be great. And
Yeah.
and the people who don't care enough about flying won't do it.
Right.
So they're going to buy this car and it's never going to take off, or they're going to sell it to I don't know who, but
No one
yeah.
wants to. No one is going to want to just drive this. Well, this is my Sunday driver. I like to take it out of the driveway and just fold the wings down. I pretend like I'm flying.
because I don't have my license, so I can't actually fly.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. That's. I think that's the biggest hurdle. Is until or if, the FAA were to ever have some kind of, like, there's like that, like the sport pilot one or whatever that's like relatively easy to get.
The one that most ultralight pilots use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if you're getting that kind of thing, that might be okay, but it's, they'd still have to kind of rework that because this is more like a plane than anything else. It's not like an ultralight.
But those that's sort of true. But on the other hand, those while I don't have the specifics in front of me, I know those sport pilot licenses are incredibly limited as to what you can do, how, where,
Yes,
and when.
exactly. Yep.
They're super limiting.
Yep.
Here's another question that comes up, at least to me, is if for whatever reason, oh man, Tristan, you're going to eat this one up. This idea takes off. And we get a whole bunch of these flying around.
I already avoided that earlier. That's why I said this is what keeps it from happening instead of keeping it on the ground.
Are we going to have the infrastructure to support this?
Oh, hell no.
Because I've been in situations where airports, like I have missed a connecting flight because the airport I'm flying into just says, don't come. There's too much traffic. We can't guide you in safely. Mm-hmm. So if there's all of a sudden how many more thousands of planes, how many more traffic control towers are going to need to be set up, how many more airports are going to need to be, updated, and how are we going to regulate? Like, on a road, it's relatively easy because most people just don't, by choice, don't just leave the road and go driving anywhere. Mm-hmm. Like, there's set roads with set speed limits. A police officer or a, police, like a municipality can, watch over their set area. Think of how crazy it gets on a lake, right? Yeah, there's so many
the air.
There's so many unqualified boaters that they just you have a boat too, and this guy has a boat. It's like Oprah, you get a boat, you get a boat, you get a boat, and there's like one cop on the water, and people are drinking, or they don't have enough life vests on board, or they're running too fast, too close to the shore. All this different stuff going on, and there's no set lanes, there's no set traffic pattern, and that's still a confined space. You can only go so far in a lake. The sky literally has none of those limits.
It is the limit.
Well,
oh, Jesus.
Moving on.
That was the biggest softball. Come on.
Moving on. Well, that was exactly what you're talking about, Nick, was what I had mentioned before. As something that a pilot friend of mine mentioned to me when we were flying kind of up through Illinois near O'Hare Airspace. You can see O'Hare's airspace extends miles and miles and miles around the airport. But what I asked him was, you see the lights of the plane so far away, but you don't actually ever see a plane fly that close to you. Why? And I guess part of it, there's a thing called the Big Sky Theory, which basically just says the theory is that airspace itself is so vast, it's unlikely that two planes will be in the same area at the same time. And they base aviation regulation off this in some cases. They base altimetry, how high you can fly off of this theory. And I mean, now you cram the sky with a bunch of people, just like you said, exactly like that lake, full of unqualified people who are also uninterested in the basic tasks of what they're doing. I mean, no.
Mass chaos. Mass chaos.
It's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying with the Big Sky Theory, though. My grandpa is a pilot. I've flown with him plenty of times. I have two cousins who are pilots, an uncle who's a pilot. And, my grandpa who did, 30 plus, maybe 40 years as a commercial airline pilot, said, like, a close call where you're getting a call from the government as soon as you hit the ground as if you come within, 3 miles of another plane. That's just how big the area is up there. Mm-hmm. And usually, even if you're traveling the same, if one's going east, one's going west, and it looks like they're going to hit, one is 5,000 feet or more above or below the other one.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And it, you don't even notice. But still, that's with the amount of air traffic we have right now.
And people who are incredibly
qualified,
incredibly highly trained. That's the other thing. So this plane, the Terrain Fuchsia, whatever, Transition is the name of the plane. Hilarious. This plane, in order to fly it, so you have to have a driver's license or to drive it, whatever.
Okay.
Like Tristan said, driver's licenses are a joke in America.
Yes.
You would also need a pilot's license. Not sport pilot, an actual pilot's license.
Which, for the most part, is not a joke in the United States, actually, unlike driver's licenses.
Incredibly serious. You would also need an IFR rating, which is another...
Yeah.
Which takes as long and is at least as complicated as getting your regular pilot's license because you're learning everything you learned without seeing.
Right. How to fly a plane
blind.
Let's say with blacked out windows functionally.
Yeah, no, they put pads in the windows. You are not allowed to see out the windows.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else. It doesn't look like you need anything too esoteric, but at least those two things. And then probably you'd also need to learn how to fly with the transponder, because you'd have to fly into airports, presumably big ones too. So
Yeah.
that would have to be equipped with a transponder, and I think that might be its own certification, or at least something you have to get tested on, because it's an entirely different set of rules on how you fly in large traffic patterns.
Any pilots out there, if you're listening and want to clear this stuff up as we're talking about
I'm
it.
not making too much of an ass of
Yeah,
myself.
hopefully we're not.
Clear the air a little bit.
Oh, Jesus.
Shut up and get out.
Please. Can we stop and hold him?
No.
You're the man.
Can we please stop and hold penalty?
Man, he's above all that. You can't touch him.
Oh. See?
This table's not that big. I can reach across. And if I know what button to hit, I can mute you.
I didn't make the last joke. He did.
If I know what button to hit, that's the key.
If I would know which one it is, I could very easily do this. I'll just start hitting them, and then we might just be cut off completely.
Oh, by the way, I forgot this delicious little nugget of information. This fake airplane company that makes the transition is owned by Geely, the same people who own Volvo and that other fake company that's trying to build those little tiny cars, whatever they're, you know what I'm talking about?
Elio?
Yeah. Aren't they owned by Geely as well?
I don't know.
I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. That car's not getting built either.
No, it's not. I'm super interested in that car. Like, yeah, I'm like, I was reading up on it, and it's never gonna come to fruition. But like, I was like, wow, this is actually, for someone who buys myself, I buy the basest of base models of cars usually when I buy them, and this is it. Like, it's a not very complicated car, and I think it actually looks kind of fun to drive. But
Nice.
that's off topic, but yes, that I don't think they're owned by Geely necessarily. At least they weren't last time I looked. But still, they're owned by this airplane company is owned by Geely, and that means
I don't know. I just think it's interesting
yes,
because
someone's seen a worthwhile investment. They
not
think
only that, there's, so Geely is this fake flying car company. Volvo, don't they make several different Chinese brands at this point?
yes,
Yeah.
they are a Chinese company.
Yeah.
I think they make Proton, don't they? Do they own Lotus? Is that someone else?
No, I don't think they own Lotus anymore.
Or did they at one point? Possibly?
I think I don't think so. I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll have to
I'm
look that
looking
up.
I'm gonna look it up here. But I think it shows that there's a conglomerate out there that at least sees enough value in this to theoretically bring it inside its little universe. So if for some weird reason this happens to take off, somehow they get this figured out, there's actually a direct line to a global manufacturing concern. That's something interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would prove that if it is producible, there would be someone to produce it. I mean, as much as we kind of opened with how physically possible is this going to be, I think, if anything, what I've kind of, gleaned from our most recent conversation is it seems like the production of it, although a hurdle, is not the biggest hurdle. I feel like getting people to actually fly or drive these things is going to be the biggest step.
Well,
And why? Like, why would you do it? I think you can, for the cost of a car and a sport pilot plane, you can get this kind of crappy plane and kind of crappy car. That's both. I feel like if you're traveling, this is not going to be fast enough to make plane travel worth it for you.
Oh no! You remember,
Yeah.
Aston Martin was bragging that their flying car could hit 200 miles an hour, which is a woefully slow plane.
Not for a private plane. I mean, if you're comparing it to like a Cessna, like a private plane, that's pretty quick.
Yeah.
If you're comparing it to a Lear.
Right, exactly. So, but I'm talking about for travel. So for traveling, it's not the answer, because you drive to the airport, get on a jet, and go somewhere. Even if you're rich, get on your chartered jet. If you don't want to wait for security, whatever. And then
Too
if you're
bougie for security.
right, and then if you are if you want to be a pilot and you want to fly yourself places, I feel like there are far better options for that. You know, I don't know. I feel like this fills. It could be something that fills a really, niche or niche, depending on who you ask.
If you take a private plane, it's niche.
Yeah. Market. That could be something where it is, like private jets, private aero cars are a thing crazy rich people buy. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you're asking like who's gonna buy it or how are you gonna get people to buy it. I mean, the cost of that Terra few whatever, I think I saw the sticker price on it was $280. So, I mean, it's a mid-level Ferrari, or maybe a little higher end Ferrari, right? I mean, it's not like it's a Lear where you got $3.4 million for one piece.
Right.
So for someone who's relatively wealthy, it's also pretty affordable for that market. So I don't think. I think it's the aesthetic piece is going to be the tougher one to sell. It's not the price point, because there's going to be people who are going to buy it.
But there are going to be people who are going to afford it.
Andrew's raising his hand.
Hold on.
Andrew
I
has
have
something.
something here. I've done a little burrowing into another company who pretends they're making a flying car.
Aero car.
And it's called the thing is called the Samson Sky. So Samson is the name of the company, I guess. And world famous actor, can't think of a movie that doesn't have him in it, Bryant Boone says of it. I guess it's Samson is the name of the company, Sky is the name of the division. The plane is called the Switchblade. The promise of the Switchblade is a quantum leap in personal transportation, effectively transforming the mundane experience of A to B travel and the magical freedom of flight. As a professional pilot for over 20 years, I've dreamt of turning my passion for flying into a daily experience. The Switchblade means trading hours and lost traffic for moments of joy flying through the sky, blah, 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 blah. This thing is interesting for a couple of reasons. One, they have a button you can click on to reserve your own, which is interesting.
Are you reserving an airplane right now? A
Yes.
flying car?
Here's the second part of it.
Real-time flying car reservation on the Check Engine Podcast.
This goes directly into what you were saying, Nick. So, this is a scam exactly like reserving a Tesla Model 3, where you send them money and they promise you a product that they probably won't deliver on time. There's a deposit of $2,000 with only $1,500 being refundable. Here's how Samson's getting around the whole certification thing. They're not selling a flying car. They're selling a flying car kit.
Do you have to build it yourself?
You build the shit yourself. So they sell a VFR package, an IFR package. So the builder, the VFR, the base level, no IFR, $120,000. IFR is $136,000. So $136,000 for the one you'd want, right? That's the one with the leather
which
seats.
we've been mentioning this back and forth. That's visual flight rules and instrument flight rules, where if you can see the ground and the things around you, visual flight rules.
Right.
If it's soupy clouds, whatever, instrument flight rules, because you can't.
If you
even
can't
your way
see out the
around,
windshield of the plane and you have to fly using only your instruments,
It's
IFR.
tougher, much more training, etc., etc.
So that, $136,000. Not too bad. If you want it built, it's $200,000.
I mean, labor, man.
So $64,000 in labor?
Yeah. Although with the builder
I wonder how
assist
long it
program-
actually takes them to make the kit. Like if the laborers are making $64,000 an
Here
hour.
we go. That's on here.
Oh, is it?
All your questions are answered on the Samson page. With the Builder Assist program, we expect it to take as little as 3 weeks to complete your Switchblade.
Okay. So $20,000 a week to build the thing.
Oh my God,
I'm in the wrong business.
By the way, there are no pictures of this because it's not real, it doesn't exist, and it will never be built. These are all renders. This is fake. This is a lie. So if you're looking to waste $500 of your own money on something that will never happen, what's the website? SamsonSky.com.
Is it like SAMSON? Like
Yes,
the
SAMSON.
traditional way to spell Samson?
Samson, yes. You're looking at me weird, Tristan. What'd I do?
I'm not at you necessarily. I'm just thinking.
Uh-oh. Tristan, deep thoughts, TM.
that
puns you
we
got for
have
that?
a new business opportunity.
Scamming people out of money for fake flying cars?
No,
Ah.
building flying cars. Duh.
Here's the thing, though. This would have to be engineered to genuinely be a plane.
Yes.
So as far as I know, which is not far at all, I mean, we're talking riveting, and we're talking making sure the wing surfaces. I mean, building
It
a
could
plane.
be cloth.
No, building a plane is
Because then it wouldn't
incredibly
pass the crash test
painstaking.
on the road.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point. Although this
Wood,
but this is a kit.
like Morgan's.
Like Morgan's.
But this is a kit. This doesn't have to.
Oh, right.
You don't have to crash test this.
I have wood
kit.
glue.
I will.
Wood glue.
I will give them that. That's a really good workaround.
That is a great way to lie your way around building a flying car.
It's not bad.
Scammers of the world, unite.
Are they-
Make it a kit.
Are they from Zimbabwe and it doesn't involve a king that you need to send your money to also?
Oh,
A Nigerian princess.
there's
has
an
fun-
Oh, it's a
FAQ
Nigerian
there.
prince? Is that what it
have
is?
funded this, yes.
Let's see here.
Who funds this? Does it say who they're owned by? Or is it just like a startup?
Copyright Samson Motors Incorporated, 2018. They're
Who's
based
new,
in
too.
Oregon. And they have a phone number. 8557 Samson.
Should we call them?
Hey, why are you lying? Well, right
God.
here. Any plans for a certified switchblade? Yes.
When?
Soon.
The process of going to certified should be smooth and efficient. Okay. So basically, you would fly this as a plane using the experimental FAA regulations. So you have to have it on the plane, and there are some other things I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's not technically the same as a regular airplane that's certified.
Huh. Seems like a lot of bouncing around to get to where we're going.
It's a lot of wordplay.
Here's the last part, the last piece. Because it's a kit, it's not even a kit car. It has 3 wheels. So what is it, Tristan?
A motorcycle.
A motorcycle. That's
It's a
right.
motorcycle.
That
Oh
is
my God.
exactly right. So it may not be legal in all 50 states. Not
Do you have-
valid in New Jersey.
so do you have to wear? Do
California.
you have to wear a helmet depending on which state you're?
You would have to.
Right.
You
Yeah.
would have to wear a helmet.
Inside your car.
Inside a car. Well,
Inside
like,
your playing car.
well, like a race car driver.
Well,
so I
wait.
mean, it's not like that goofy looking.
But you don't have to. Well, we live in Wisconsin. Does anyone know if you have to wear a helmet in one of those? God, what is the
Like the
3-wheel?
slingshot?
The sling-
Yes,
Slingshots.
the slingshot. Do you have to wear a helmet?
I don't think so.
No, but that also has like a full car seat. What's the Polaris one with the trike setup that actually you sit on?
The
like
spider.
the Spider, you have to wear a helmet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they just do that as a.
You're sitting there with no,
Actual
you're not belted in. The
It's a
slingshot, you're
it's a
actually in a seat
reverse
with a
strike.
5-point harness.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that one I guess you wouldn't have to then, right? Because technically it's a full-on seat with a harness.
Yes, it's a full-on seat with a harness.
If that's the logic they use,
and it's also fully canopied. Maybe that plays a part.
Could be.
maybe
Okay, we have our next Check Engine Podcast project.
no.
Build a flying car.
Build a flying.
We haven't even finished your Jeep yet.
Do you mean we need to build a gliding motorcycle?
Maybe.
Experimental motorcycle.
I swear, Your Honor, it's not a flying car. It's a gliding motorcycle. Duh.
Very different, sir. Very different.
No, officer, it's not a flying car at all. This isn't even a car.
What are you looking
Then
at?
you get tased.
So, beginning to bring it all full circle,
Yeah.
we see many issues with construction. We see issues with what type of person, where's the market for it? Because those people who are flying short hops are already rich enough to buy their own helicopter.
Probably.
Or
What's
plane.
Yep. What's the price on a helicopter? Like a little like.
What am I, helicopter eBay? What am I supposed to be looking up here?
I don't know.
Google.com.
How much is a helicopter?
Okay, how
Google. Hey Google.
How much is a helicopter?
How much?
helicopter ride autofilled. So in conclusion, I like this from Tough Nickel. What? Anyways, I love the Google excerpt thing because it sometimes digs up some real gems like this. So in conclusion, if you're interested in getting a helicopter, then you're looking at anywhere from $250,000 to 1.7 mil, depending if you want a little 2-seater or you want to go all the way up to a 5-seater.
So, for a 2-seat car with an airplane attached on the top of it, or a 2-seat helicopter, you can get one for, depending, about the same price.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
But the helicopter won't drive on the road, Tristan.
it won't. But it will also be better at being in the air,
Yeah.
rated, and actually, like, legal, and are made by companies that are actually companies. I can go to Bell, I can go to Sikorsky and say, please build me a helicopter and I'd like to buy it from you. I mean, I think so. The market for people who are taking these short hops, you know, all these like the crazy like heliports in, you know, New York. Those are the rich people who would be buying them to commute in. The helicopter already has that market. The sport plane already has the flying enthusiast market, and the car is the thing for people who like to drive. That's why we're here.
But remember, Tristan, what if you like to drive but you don't like traffic? Then what if you're the one person who doesn't love traffic? What do you do then?
Racetracks.
Tow missiles.
Tow missiles. No. The only answer is flying car.
Oh, see,
That's just what they want you to believe.
right, you bought into Big Arrow car. But, so, I think the
There's
market...
so much more than that, though. Like, I don't really think the market is the biggest issue. It's
No, I'm
the-
saying I'm just listing the issues that we do have.
Oh, okay.
You know, it is an
yeah.
issue.
Big time.
You know, constructing them, the market, certifying people to fly them. How safe is it to have all these people flying around?
No, it's-
I'm sure that it's, you know,
How do we regulate it?
in however
Some
many
semblance
years,
of order in the skies.
or however many years it takes to get this off the ground. The
We should have had a
you
pun
know,
counter.
You do a little ding every time it goes off. You know, we're gonna sound like the people who are saying like, oh, if trains go more than 15 miles an hour, all the air is gonna get sucked out. Like, yeah, and everyone's gonna die. You know,
does?
you know,
It does?
you know, I mean, maybe we're wrong.
Don't ruin that for
You
him.
know?
But we're not wrong. I'm sorry.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's where I was going. Is that, but that would require, you know, refuting more than 60 years of failure to make flying cars.
Yes.
So, I think it's safe to say, as a group, we disagree with flying cars, and also we don't think they're going to happen.
I mean, not in our... I really don't think in our lifetimes. Even
Certainly not
though...
in any volume.
Well, even though, last count, companies, and non-inclusive, by the way, companies who are working on flying cars at this moment, got those two fake companies, Samsung and...
Not Samsung. Not the phone people.
Samsung,
Samsung and...
Terra
Delilah,
Flugia.
Flugtag, whoever that
Flug-
was.
Flugblast.
That's two. Do we count Ford? Because Henry Ford said something about flying cars a century ago. Yes.
But they're not a
clearly.
fake company.
No. But they are fake making a flying car.
They're fake
Oh.
flying car company.
Other companies:
Ast-
Porsche,
Aston Martin.
Tesla, Aston Martin, Toyota, Uber, Airbus.
Hey, would they have to change their name if they made a flying car?
Who?
Air car?
Airbus.
No. 'cause
Honestly.
it's a metaphor.
Oh.
I'm trying to think of what other companies. Maybe Minute Maid is working on one.
Juice?
Yeah. Why not? They pivoted.
Diversification is the key to success.
They pivoted from blockchain to flying cars.
Power pivot.
No, everyone's
Is that an
working
Excel
on this.
joke?
Yeah, sadly.
I missed it. Thank God. Here's something that's really interesting though. So there's all these companies working on flying cars. There's a guy apparently named Larry Page.
Yeah, the Google guy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's this some guy,
Some little local man.
He's got 3 of them.
local man owns how many flying car companies?
Well, there's Cora. That's one. There's one called Flyer. That's 2.
That's an original name.
And there's one called Opener. Gross. Which is 3. So this one guy owns 3 flying car companies.
Has he successfully begun producing them from any one of those 3 companies?
1 each, I think.
No.
So prototypes all around.
Prototypes.
Prototypes for everyone.
I don't think anything's ready for production, although there is a video here called Blackfly Official Launch. Is
It looks
that
like a
something?
TIE fighter in that video.
Not the bear from Harvey Birdman.
I mean, also another complicating factor here. many of these companies are pushing the fact that their aero cars will be fully electric or hybrid, like the Transition,
Or
Mentioned-
autonomous is another big push now too.
Well, yeah, because you can't put people
In charge of this.
in flying cars and not have a million deaths on day one.
Terrible.
You would though. That's
No, I
probably
know.
the low end of estimation.
I was saying I'm terrible because I laughed at that right away. My gut reaction was to titter.
But so yeah, they're saying electric. Which one of Larry Page's many flying cars is supposed to be fully electric, which is something that is non-existent in the world of airplanes right now. So maybe he's a guy who
Remember, unless you're working with like those 300-foot long wing hyper endurance solar planes, you're hauling a lot of batteries into the sky.
True.
That's why
That's a lot of
That's
weight.
why electric airplanes are not really doing much right now.
By the way, when you did that, I swear your arms were longer than I remember. That was a very...
I did make an airplane thing when I did
did.
that, and my arms are usually shorter than that.
I think it was so grandiose that it was very...
It was just the fact that you were being dramatic. And I didn't,
Slow unfurl.
you still have T-Rex arms. It
It was
just
a very
looked.
striking moment for you. Just so you
I
know.
wish someone would have captured that on film, like a
very
little,
proud.
little picture.
Proud moment.
But so yeah, I guess for me, like Nick said, all of this emphasis on autonomous technology, which to be fair, in the world of flight, autopilots are
They're already there.
yeah, they're there. I think really the only things they quote unquote can't do would be taxiing, takeoff, and then taxiing post landing, because some can even take them down to the ground.
Yeah, that's one of my recently new favorite books, the James May book about all the skills you have to know to be a man.
Yeah.
One of them is flying an Airbus A380.
Of course.
And how to fly and land an Airbus A380. Let the autopilot do it is the answer.
Right.
It's they can land themselves for the most part. If you can get them to nudge the autopilot close enough to the airport, they'll land themselves if
Some can, yeah.
if ILS is working.
Yeah. Man.
There's just too many obstacles. There's just too many things that can go wrong with this.
Yeah, it's like, for example, when we take our other favorite to rag on technology, electric cars. Mm-hmm. Once they figure out what to replace batteries with that actually works, boom, I'm all aboard. There's one obstacle for me. It's like, once we're not recharging batteries for hours, I would love to drive an electric car. Mm-hmm. I think that would be thrilling, because electric motors are great. But until then, there's one thing to get over. There's one technology to refine, and boom, we're there. And I think with the planes, there's a lot of hurdles to go through. The aero cars.
I totally agree, but I think another piece of this is, for me, why is one thing not good enough? Why is it not good enough to say, okay, we are a startup company, we very seriously believe in the flying car as a transportation method for the future. We are going to make one that really works, that doesn't dodge regulations. We're going to crash test it. We're going to get it certified with the FAA. It's going to be IFR. It's going to be VFR. It will be genuine and not dodge around regulations, not make it a three-wheeled cycle, not make it an experimental plane. And Nick's making the money sign. I know that's the reason why, but it can't just be one thing, and it has to be a hybrid now, and it has to be fully autonomous now, and it has to be ride sharing, and it has to be a bicycle. It's like all this dumb stuff. But
a ride-sharing autonomous flying bicycle
car.
everyone wants to be the first to do it all. Nobody wants to be the first to do it right.
At all, even.
Or even accomplish
We
it.
got to end
Yeah.
on that. That was probably the best. I mean,
Yeah.
what a perfect point. Just be the first one to make it at this point. Just make one that just happens to do what it's supposed to.
But no, not just make one. Make a production run.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes. But yeah, forget all the other extra doohickeys on it. Just make a car that flies first. Start at phase 1, and then use what you learned from that, what to do and what not to do, and now version 2.0 is going to be the one that has hybrid technology, and then maybe version 3.0 we can make it fully electric. Like
Like
what-
you would do if you were an actual company.
How about base hits? We're gonna play Moneyball here.
Sure.
Base hits.
I would say base hits, or I was going to go with another sport reference. Start with the Vince Lombardi, this is a football, this is a flying car. Start with that and go from there. Like,
That's a really good. I love that point.
Yeah.
That might be the best point you've made since we started doing this.
Thanks, I think.
I think,
Or maybe I'm super insulted now. I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about that. No, but. So
I didn't say the only. I said the best. Take a compliment, Tully. Damn it.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's something that there's an. We kind of started off by saying, charlatans and snake oil salesmen, because I feel like for some reason you're right. The market, this product, is drawing people who don't want to put the work in. Mm-hmm. They want to try to cash in without actually making a product. It feels like
Like South Park, they're gonna cash in and bro down.
Or just Juicero. We're going to make, that the whole thing about that was we're going to make the best juice you can have in your home. And they just sent you pulp pulp in a bag that then they squeeze juice out of it. It's like, you're an idiot. Nick's giving me that look. Did you never hear about that thing?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, they literally just sent you pulp. What are you doing?
Yeah. Instead of sending me a flying car, they sent me a bunch of parts I can assemble and not certify and then die in.
Exactly. And not and have to wear a helmet in too.
Yeah.
And can't use as a car. I mean,
Juice
yeah.
aeroplane.
Oh, see, and you're talking about stopping and going me. That's worse. That's worse.
I couldn't help myself. That was a stretch. I'm sorry, folks.
I think we beat that horse to death.
Yeah. I think it was well investigated. We came in, unlike a lot of the rest of our broadcasts, all of one mind for the most part, even down to why. Like, even the Tesla episode, we were all kind of on board with that we weren't big fans. There were different reasons. Well, we kind of pointed out, like, oh yeah, we agree with that. But
We should do an update on that. I'm all out on Tesla now.
Yeah.
Completely out.
Yeah, and we can update that as we go.
I've never been in.
Right,
So
I never went in. So, but
that would be funny. Like every episode, Tesla update.
still
We
out.
still hate it.
But we all kind of were against it for different reasons and stuff. This one feels like we all kind of agree on the core reasons why it doesn't work. There wasn't a lot of discussion. There was a lot of explanation and why. And I think that that's new for us. But I think we covered this one pretty well.
I agree. I also know that I sounded pretty inflammatory for most of it, but
That's not new.
well, it is in the way that I genuinely believe that all of these companies who are pretending to make flying cars are in fact just there to build the hype, and I don't think any of them are going to do it because none of them have a track record of even marginal success.
Right.
Well, and here's a quick note on that. Maybe the strategy here is, especially if it's a company like, say, like the one that was in the news lately is, Aston Martin with their 200-mile-per-hour plane. Mm-hmm. Clickbait, right?
Oh, big time.
So Aston Martin's going to build a 200-mile-per-hour flying car / plane thing. Great. I'm intrigued. I'm going to go to Aston Martin's website. I'm going to look up Aston Martin. Oh, hey. That new DBS looks pretty wicked. I might have to go to a dealership and check that out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes. So I think we can say flying cars probably at least no time soon will be real. Any current offerings are also not real.
True.
And any legitimate companies that are discussing building a flying car are doing so strictly as advertising revenue. I think does that about sum that up?
That's it. We're good.
Yeah. All right.
We did it.
I think
Awesome.
that's it.
And with that, it is time to wrap this one up. We'll do a round of thank yous here, gentlemen. Who are we thanking before we sign off today?
I would like to thank the international deep and far-ranging conspiracy that was specifically enacted to make sure that none of us will ever get the fast food order that we requested when the three of us meet together for dinner.
It's
Folks,
true.
this literally happens
It's true. And I'm the
every
victim
single
usually.
time.
Tristan is typically the victim, and I get it. He's got red hair. It's fine.
I'm also a picky eater. Sorry.
Red hair, picky eater. He's doomed.
I'm doomed.
So, I'm watching you guys. I know it's you.
The Russians. The Russians are doing it.
Absolutely. I know it.
Related to that, however, I would like to thank my co-presenter, Andrew, this evening for, due to the wide-ranging, deep state international conspiracy to rob me of proper fast food orders.
Just wants a meatball.
I wanted a meatball sub at Subway. How hard is that? Apparently, it was impossible.
Impossible.
They didn't have any meatballs at all. He introduced me to some kind of
It's like
new
people
thing.
who want flying cars. They don't have any flying cars.
Right,
at all.
exactly. Not real. He introduced me to some kind of new sandwich. I don't know if people have heard of it. It's called a cheese steak.
As we said, he's a picky eater.
I don't know.
Something.
So, but it was delicious, and now I'll probably order one the next time I go.
Hooray.
New food options.
We're expanding Tristan's horizon
That's right.
just a little
very,
bit.
Very small hill.
The
at a
more
time.
you eat,
You should have snuck a couple of onions on there and not told him.
Thought about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would know.
I would like to thank everybody in my place of work that has July birthdays. Because of the fact that there were multiple people in my department that had July birthdays, we had a birthday lunch. Just department birthday lunch. We're going to get together once on one day, celebrate all the birthdays in our department, and we're going to cater in or bring in some food. And the food they brought in was from the Corner Bakery. Have you guys ever tried
Yes.
that? From it's at the Mayfair Collection
Yes.
over in Brookfield. Sorry for those of you who don't live in Wisconsin. Some of the best food I've ever had in my life.
Really?
Oh my God, it was good. The sandwiches were awesome. The salads were awesome. There was this mac and cheese with like roasted red pepper and stuff in
What?
it. So good. Their pecan bars were absolutely
Nick would like to thank pecan
insane-
bars.
Insanely good. My boss is allergic to tree nuts. He almost put his life on the line because these things smelled so good.
That's when you know you're doing it.
So if it weren't for the July birthdays, we wouldn't have had this lunch where I would have been introduced to this glorious thing known as the Corner Bakery. So thank you, July birthdays at my place of work.
And Corner Bakery.
And Corner Bakery for making fantastic food. And as always, thank you to you, the listener. Even if we suck, which this episode might have been,
We've had better, we've had worse.
you guys are always awesome. We want you to comment on flying planes. Are they fake like we seem to think they are? Or do you actually think we're going to see one before we die?
Do any of you own one?
Do you,
Yeah.
Do you own one?
I'm guessing
have you built one of those kits yet?
Do you have a startup that we should talk about on this podcast?
At a startup to bash on this podcast?
No. See,
No bad
we
publicity?
will absolutely not, as I mentioned earlier, start our own startup to rob you, our listeners, of your money.
Yes.
However, if you have started one of those startups, we would gladly take your money to plug you on the podcast shamelessly.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Take your money that you're getting by frauding other people.
And definitely give us
That
some.
includes you,
give us-
Tesla. I will sell out for you so fast.
Here's looking at you. Here's looking at you, Elon.
And your hairline.
What hairline?
Who
What
can't?
must-
Who can't?
Anyway, so if you guys want to comment on this episode or any of the past episodes, as I said earlier, inbox at checkenginepodcast.com or through checkenginepodcast.com website. You can find us on Facebook at Check Engine Podcast. Like us. If you don't like us, that's cool. We get it. But please at least share us because you might know someone who will. Follow us on Twitter at CheckEnginePod. Follow us on Instagram at CheckEnginePod. And besides the liking and the following and the sharing, please talk back to us. Give us some dialogue. Give us some comments, some feedback. Are we right? Are we wrong? Do you love us? Do you hate us? Anything. Just get back to us. Let us know how we're doing. If you want to listen to us, you can find us on Google Play. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us, finally, for real, on Spotify. You can find us on Overcast, Breaker.audio, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, or Castbox. And as always, our main host is Anchor.fm/Check Engine Podcast. Thank you so much to Anchor. We cannot wait to hear from you. We cannot wait to talk to you again. Thanks as always. Good night.